I went ahead and grabbed my wire. It is 12 AUG, 100 feet, and it is a what is it called? I don't even know. Two conductor, that's what it is. I'm trying to read the freaking label, but what it has is this nice insulation coating, and then on the inside I have my negative and my positive. This is 100% copper. 0 aluminum was used in the making of this copper wire, and that is super important. So when you're looking into wiring and things, make sure it's copper. That's what I've heard anyway. Who knows? I'm not an expert, but that's what I'm using. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna probably write out a diagram on where the electric's gonna go in my bus. I did this before, but not as seriously. It was more of like a mock-up, and now that I'm like living it and I'm in the moment, it's gonna be kind of different. Alrighty, so I wrote down everything that's gonna be 12 volt and everything that's gonna be 120 volt in the bus. Then I went ahead and wrote a tiny little diagram over here that is just not worth reading. It's very weird. I got a little sidetracked with the 120 volt when I was like, wait, I'm wiring 12 volt. Don't worry about that right now. So what we're gonna do is, since the fan is already installed, that's super easy. I know where it is and I know where it's going. Then the cabinets, I'm not sure where they're going to fall, which is where my puck lights will be installed. Since my ceiling is still intact, I'm going to be putting puck lights in my cabinets instead, so that way I can still have like a home light in a way and not just LEDs all the time, which I'm okay with LEDs, but you know, sometimes you want that homey vibe. So I went with the puck lights in the cabinets. Then I have my fridge to wire, and I don't know which side I want my fridge on yet. I think on the right side, so I'll just put it over there for now, but I'll let you know how the pre-wiring goes. Also, tool of the day, I totally forgot to show you my new wire cutter stripper crimper. Isn't it awesome? It was like, I think $7, but it goes between 10 and 22 thickness, I guess, AUG. So yeah, lit. I'm gonna be using this to cut my wire. I already have this piece of scrap wood from when I did my floors. It's the 1/2-inch plywood, and I feel like it'll fit all of my bits and pieces that I'll need today. So I'll go ahead and get out my solar stuff, and hopefully I can start figuring out where I'm gonna put everything in there. It's exciting. Okay, we have a lot going on here, so let's go over everything you will need for your solar setup. So first off, you're gonna need a 40 amp MPPT controller. I got mine from Renogy. It has a Bluetooth module included, so I can check my stats from my phone, so that's awesome. They also have kits from Renogy. I personally bought everything separate, a la carte, and I felt that that was best for me, but whatever you want to do, you do, boo. And it doesn't have to be a 40 amp either. They have different ampage as well, so that's the one I went with. And I also have my 200 watt solar panels, so each one is 100 watts, but total it's going to be 200 watts, also by Renogy. And I already went ahead and put the brackets on. They're not tight, but they are on there just because I was getting them ready. I also have my 2000 watt inverter, Renogy again, and this also has some plugins on the side over here. It has 3 total, which is awesome. So I'll show you what I'll be doing with those later. Then over here, we're just gonna have our connectors and such. These are 3/8 size in the circle, and they can fit into a 2 AUG wire cord, which is going to be this. Then I also have some heat shrink, some extra connectors for my solar panels, a positive and negative bus bar. Then I have a hammer crimp over here, which also came with heat shrink and electric tape. This is going to be to cover my battery. I just didn't want to put it over here because it's extremely heavy, and it's a 200 amp hour Renogy battery. This is going to be the positive and negative cap for that. Underneath my 2 AUG cords are going to be a 30-foot cord that's going to be used for my solar panels. That'll go run through the bus and up to the roof. Then over here I have fuses and breakers. All of them are 50 amp, or these 3 are 50 amp. This one's going to be a 200 amp. Then over here I have some more fuses that will be going inside of my fuse block holder. This will be powering all of my DC appliances, like my fridge, fan, all that stuff. This also plugs into my Renogy inverter and gives me control from here, from the flip of the wrist. And the flick of the wrist, I mean, flip of the switch. Yeah, that's what I like. Okay, then over here I just have a shunt. I didn't even know what that was, so I had to look it up and figure out where that would even go in my whole system, and I figured it out. So that'll help with keeping up with the stats of the system and making sure everything's running properly. I also have this on and off switch for my battery, just in case I need to work on the system at all. I can go ahead and do that safely. Then last but not least are the cords over here that we're going to be using for the inverter that will connect the whole system. So yeah, that's what we're going to work with today. Okay, so the first thing I went ahead and did was clear off everything and started off with the first things that I will need for my system, which is going to be the MPPT controller. I have seen multiple different setups, and usually it's over on this side, and I have the cords coming down this way, so I gave it some room. I also went ahead and attached my Bluetooth module, probably screw that down somewhere. I put the brackets on, and it only came with the screws that attach from the bottom, and so then I just used the same wood screws that I used for my subfloor and mounted it to the actual piece of wood. So that's nice and secure on there. Then I went ahead and put my little temperature gauge in, so that's all set up. The next thing that I would do to test out my solar and everything would be to start connecting these. But I just realized that since I bought everything separately, it did not come with cords. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and order those on Amazon right now. I'm gonna go over everything that's happening with the electric so far. So I already have this mounted over here, the MPPT. I already mounted my Renogy inverter as well. Then I went ahead and mounted these, and I'm on this side now, really trying to figure out where I want these to live. I'm not too sure where the shunt comes in. I watched that video a while ago, so I need to go recall and regain some memory. And same thing with the on and off switch. I'm not sure where in the system it goes, but for the most part, we're getting it down. And I'm getting a little, frustrated and impatient at sometimes, but I know it'll work out in the end, and it's gonna be amazing to see the finished product. Really quick, the girl who just dropped off my water tank is amazing. She told me that she knows another mechanic in the area that does buses and trucks, because that's where she saw a schoolie and she was so excited about mine, and told me where I can go probably get a better quote. Rather than $5,000, maybe I can spend like $2,000. I feel like that is okay to spend. I would spend that no problem. All right, it is slowly but surely coming along. This is such a weird process. I've never done this before, so obviously it's a kind of test it out, trial and error type thing. So yeah, I did a lot of errors and a lot of trials. So what I learned was I forgot that I even had to hammer crimp this terminal on here. So I definitely put the heat shrink on first, then tried to crimp it, and that was wrong. So that's why there's kind of like a 2-layer thing going on. I was only able to take off this much of the last heat shrink. So I was able to get it off up here, crimped it, then put another layer of heat shrink on. So this one is good to go. And this will be going to the positive on my little fuse block over here. Then I cut the other side and got it ready to rip off. The insulation is very difficult to get off of this very thick wire. So I would recommend getting the proper tools. This is not the proper tool. And this is for smaller wire, and it does have a wire cutter on here, which is what I've been using. And I tried to use the X-Acto blade, and that was just even worse. So as you can see, my first trial was just disastrous. It was awful, but we got it done, and that's all that matters. So this is kind of still hot actually. And now I'm working on this side to then connect to my positive fuse breaker over here. And yeah, we're gonna go ahead and connect all the positives, and then I'll come back and do the negatives and show you guys what's going on. Yay, so here goes my first official connection, guys. So it's very strong, very sturdy. I don't think it's gonna go anywhere. I'm very happy about how it turned out. Both sides are crimped and have heat shrink, and it's gonna go from the positive of the fuse block. And as you can see, I put a little washer on here that I got from the shunt. No, I did not figure out how to use it. It's supposed to come with extra wires that were not provided, and I did not purchase them, so that'll have to be a different day. But for now, it's gonna go from our positive over here, over to the positive breaker, and then from the breaker, it'll go to our positive fuse block. And then I'm gonna put it on this second post because the first one's gonna be for my MPPT, which I need to order wires for because it did not come with them, because I ordered them separately. So yeah, I've officially swayed myself to buying a kit next time. So that's all that's going on over here. But I just wanted to show you really quickly, this is how it looked without the washer. So if you have a gap like this, it's not that big of a deal. As long as you have something to really capture the energy in between, you should be fine. But you know, I'm really not a professional, so I've gotten all my information off of YouTube or just Googling it, and this is what I found works best for me. So this is the way I'm gonna do it. Yeah.